Hello and welcome to a festive Punters guide. Looking forward to some cracking racing on Boxing Day. Of course, 11 meetings in the UK and Ireland to look forward to. A plethora of runners in both UK and Ireland. Like I say, Dan Barber is going to join us to have a look at a select few races. There's far too many to go through, but he's the perfect antidote for just sitting there and wearing off that Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. Now, excellent sport, racing and footy on Boxing Day.
Oh, I just can't beat it, can you? You really can't. Get the family rows out of the way. Get the kids bickering over presents, and one family member probably disgracing themselves, having had a few too many jars. And
that'll be you.
Then hopefully not. I'm going to try and focus on not getting through every single race because I think I probably collapse after it. But as you say, select few, and I think we've honed in on the key ones for the day. I mean, it's not like it's going to be an outstanding betting weekend of the ones that we're discussing because a lot of them are smallish field graded races, but they're the races you really have to discuss.
Right, come on, let's get on with it. It is the King George, it is the Christmas cracker at Kempton. Cannot wait. 9 runners heading to post. An absolutely brilliant renewal. We've got the winner of the last 3 years, Clandersober and Frodon. Paul Nickers looking for a 13th win in the race. A triple challenge from Ireland. Willie Mullins with his 2, won it in 2001 with Florida Pearl. The Gold Cup winner, Meyrick. It's a cracking renewal, a classic renewal, actually, Dan.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you save the best to last there, Matt, because I'm not sure I could see the wood for the trees in the lead up to this race. And yes, it's Clandersober's Cup final, but he's not had a run this year. He's normally had a run, and he's never won a race first time out. I think he's 0 from 5. You look at Frodon winning the race last year, as you mentioned, the last 3 winners of the race are here, in essence. But Frodon did get a very soft lead 12 months ago, and you sort of wonder, can that really replicate? I'm not sure it can. So I'm just coming back to, let's say, wood for the trees. The Gold Cup winner's not even favourite for this race. If he's not the best day in chasing train, it's Aplutard, but he's in the top 2, and the cheap pieces feel like a signal of intent to me. It's almost like they say, right, yeah, March is the aim, but we want to win the King George as well. And as a result, we're going to try and exhaust something that we think can get better, get more from him and sharpen him up around a different track. And they've gone with the headgear. So yeah, it's pretty simple for me. It'd be a win-only play. But I sort of come around to the opinion that there's too much noise around this race. Let's condense it down to the bare facts of who's the best staying chaser in the field. And for me, it's Meyrick, and that Gold Cup form for me stands out. Think of how far back Frodon was in that Gold Cup, for instance. He was miles behind them, and I didn't think I'd necessarily have this view when we first came to discussing this race and had a good look at the 48-hour stage or 72-hour stage. But I have come round to that opinion now that he's the best horse in the race, and as a result, he's worth backing win only.
Meyrick, then he's a little bit worried about the track. We know his best form's on stamina-laden tracks. He's all about stamina, isn't he?
Yeah, that is the slight niggle, but maybe the cheap pieces will sharpen him up. And just, I think if they're aggressive on him, as they were, remember when he saw off Milan Native in that match race early on last season before maybe a blip around Christmas time. But I thought he came back with a vengeance. I mean, I thought he was brilliant in the Gold Cup. He's always looked a Gold Cup horse. He proved it there. And the thing to note with Kempton is, yeah, we think of it as a speed test, and we'll touch upon this with the Feltham as well, the Kauto Star as it's known now. But the ground is set to deteriorate quite badly because they're due significant rainfall. So I think good to soft will probably be soft by the time the race comes about. That's about the 5th or 6th race on the card, the King George, the 5th. So there's a case for saying that conditions will be stamina sapping by this stage, and I think that will play to his strengths.
And just a quick word with my fancy Chantry House. I'm a big fan of his. I think everything's going to be playing into his hands. I mean, he's the up-and-coming star, isn't he? I think trip, ground, track will all suit him.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? He is the up-and-comer. He's not had the chances that a few of them have had at the top level, but he was a crack novice from last season, and he resumed. Maybe he was slightly fortunate at Aintree, but he probably still would have won. I mean, it's hard to say. But he resumed by doing no more than was expected of him, but not coasting round. He did it quite obviously impressive in that match race. So, yeah, he is the lively one because he's the one we've yet to see the best of. But can his best really match Meyrick's best? I'm not so sure.
Let's rewind 35 minutes because we've got the other end of the spectrum. We've gone from 3-mile staying chases to 2-mile speed hurdlers in the Christmas hurdler. Rematch of the fighting 5th here. Dead heat between Not So Sleepy and Epperton. Nothing to choose between them there. Nothing to choose between them on the revised figures either. We've also got Soaring Glory in here and Tritonic making a quick reappearance from winning at Ascot on Saturday.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights of the season so far. I felt that day we tried Tonic, the thing that was going to improve him was a strongly run race at the trip. And is he just not going to get that today, is he? And we've seen Soaring Glory undone in a Jerry Fielden when the race was tactical. So those two, I think, from just by the way the race will be run, are likely to be disadvantaged. It's just not going to be a stamina test. And there's an angle here for definite. And I don't see a great deal wrong with Epatante necessarily. She won this race in 2019. She injured herself in a messy race last year at Silver Streak, the ill-fated Silver Streak, nick from the front. But one thing I'd add into the mix is that there's clearly a potential for something similar if they're aggressive on Not So Sleepy. He's dead heated with her at Newcastle. I think conditions were probably more in his favour there than they were hers. But conditions will be bad at Kempton, potentially, say, by this stage, if the rain gets in. And it poses a real question for Nico de Boinville how he rides Epatante, because he can't allow Not So Sleepy to get away. And at the same time, he doesn't want to be drawn into some sort of slogfest where he's trying to go with the Not So Sleepy from a long way out. So I think it's a trappy race and a bit of a nasty race. But if I was pushed, I'd say Not So Sleepy with a potential easy lead might be the way to go here on ground that will definitely suit a horse who we know stays very well.
Not So Sleepy then for Dan. I'm going to risk a couple of quid on Tritonic. He's in good health. His form right-handed is absolutely superb as well. And of course, he won the Adonis, didn't he, back in February. Rewind again for the half an hour. Another grade one for the future stars of the chasing game. The Kauto star, of course, named after that 5-time King George winner. And although we've got a field of 4, it's priced up as a match. It's the match we all wanted to see, of course, a rerun of the Staying Novice Hurdle at Aintree, this time over the bigger obstacles, though. Hoy Senor versus Brave Man's Game. Which camp are you in?
I'm going, Boxing Day football will be a focus. I'm going for a 2-0 here. A 2-0 advantage to be opened up by Ahoy Senor, because he's already stuffed Brave Man's Game when they ran in that Sefton Novice Hurdle at Aintree. And against a bit like Manila Indo, maybe the track is a slight concern. Not done it right-handed necessarily. He tipped up at Carlisle on his reappearance. But I just think he's a devastatingly impressive staying chaser. A ridiculously strong galloper who could have gone round again at Newbury when he handed out a 31-length beating to Mr. Invincible. And the stamina is a key thing for me. He's clearly a thorough stayer. He's Brave Man's Game. He's had one run at 3 miles over hurdles and was put in his place by Ahoy Senor. Conditions, if they are as they're supposed to be with the rain incoming, are going to be even more demanding. Just see a scenario where Ahoy Senor breaks the heart of Brave Man's Game. Maybe he's not as fluent a jumper or as quick a jumper, but he's bold for me, Ahoy Senor, on what we've seen so far. And if they turn into the straight, I wouldn't want to be laying much odds against as he is at the moment on Ahoy Senor if they're upsides each other, because I just think he's got more staying power, and I think that could be key. It wouldn't surprise me at all, Matt, if we see Brave Man's Game running in the equivalent of the JLT, whatever it's called nowadays at Cheltenham, rather than an RSA. Ahoy Senor, on the other hand, is all about an RSA. He could even probably win a national hunt chase.
Yeah, obviously actually been teetering with the idea of a Gold Cup campaign potentially as well for Hoy Senor. Let's have a look at the other race in front of the ITV cameras, and one we probably could have a bet in as well. It's a good old handicap, and probably the race of the day in terms of punting, because I always think this is an excellent race. It's Novice Handicap Chase. I've had a little bit of look at it as well in previous years. You look at this, Sebastopol needs to come back from that horrible fall 5 weeks ago at Kempton. Is Ian on the worst for that? Mr. Coffey's looked less than resolute in recent starts, although his for newbie form has been franked. And Danny Kirwan, I probably appreciate going this way around. He jumped right-handed at Cheltenham, and he was weak in the market that day, and I thought it was a fair performance.
Yeah, I do think this going this way around will help him, but I often say the scorpion apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, does it? And he tends to get a ridiculous percentage of horses that have quirks, and for me, he's one of those. So I'm not sure what's going to happen tactically. They went from the front. They were quite positive on him at Cheltenham, or they had him handy anyway. I wonder if they might try and replicate that, because there isn't a great deal of pace on. But got to say, I was really taken with Bothwell Bridge when I was down at Sandown. Didn't hang around over hurdles, but he made his final start in that Sefton that we just discussed with Ahoy Senor. Didn't fire, but just the way he went about it at Sandown, for me, just smacked. This horse is a 10, 15 pound better chaser at least. He jumped really well. And I liked how strong he was at the finish under difficult conditions. Eventually wore down Marla's Promise. Marla's Promise had done everything right and still wasn't able to resist him. And I don't actually want to rule out the top horse. Is he a horse? Is he a dog? I don't know, Sebastopol. He likes finishing second. He's a bit like Oliver Twist with his love of seconds. But there's a scenario for me where you look, he's been given a fair chance by the handicapper. He's been placed off this mark over hurdles, and he would have ended that drought had he not tipped up. Of course, also his temperament, the concern is that fall will have set him back. But I sort of view it from two ways this race. You back Bothwell Bridge win only, or you're a bit more conservative and you have a few on Sebastopol each way. But I'll stick with the former policy, say that Bothwell Bridge can continue his ascent of the chasing ranks.
Yeah, good form in the end. Nicky Henderson, present usually is and always a man to fear at Kempton as well. Can we head north, Dan, and head to Wetherby for their feature?
Always.
On Boxing
Always.
Day, the Rowland Meyrick. We've got the Ladbrokes Trophy win here, Cloudy Glen, DBC. We've not seen too often, have we, in recent years now with the Skeletons. Good Boy Bobby, the rehearsal second goes here. And I quite fancy Empire Steel, I thought did well to get as close as it did to the well handicap Strictly a Dancer at Haydock.
Yeah, you'll do for me as well there, Matt. Now, DBC sort of sets this race up a bit. You can totally see the case. First run for Dan Skelton last season. He went like the best horse at Sandown, but paid for getting an overly aggressive ride. He's had a wind up since last seen. I bet he's been ready for a month or two, but they've decided to wait for a valuable prize to try and win a 40 grand pot with him. But I'm not sure it's going to be that clear cut because there's so much pace in this race. I mean, Good Boy Bobby, you've mentioned. The horse at the top, Lord de Manila, Grand Nationals contender of the past, he's going to go from the front. There's 4 or 5 that are confirmed front runners, of which DBC tends to be one as well, or he's ridden positively anyway. And I'm completely in the same opinion as you that Empire Steel's the one to be with. For me, the worsening ground is in his favour. It's very testing at Wetherby. I think he probably will be better in the mud. He just looks a strong galloping type to me, who jumps well, clearly revels in the mud, and he was coming back for more at Haydock behind that informed Strictly a Dancer, as you said. That horse was completing a hat trick, and then I think he bombed out next time just because he'd been kept so busy. So I'm happy to draw a line through any assessments of whether that form has taken a knock or not. Still unexposed, Love Connections, Mania and Sandy Thompson, and I think the race could be run to suit a horse. So I think at the end of the season, and maybe next season, we'll be discussing along the lines of Welsh Nationals around this time of year instead of Rowland Meyrick's.
And that leads us kindly on to the Welsh National then, Dan. Obviously, that is on the 27th. It's going to be a grueler, isn't it, down at Chester? Sadly, no crowd there in Wales, but it looks like it's going to be as testing as ever. There is rain forecast. Native River's been given the go-ahead to try and regain his Welsh National crown. We've got Highland Hunter in here, who had a bit of a grueler at Sandown beginning of the month. Venetia Williams, she can't stop winning staying chases all that tour. And Peter Farley sends over the big dog, who you'd imagine this test would suit. He's just a relentless galloper.
Yeah, he is. And his name doesn't really do him justice, does it? He's a very honest, staying horse. He's definitely not, as you associate, as we call in racing parlance, as dog at all. He's a really likeable horse. But I'm going to see if the clock can be wound back a couple of years here. I was waiting for Potter's Corner to show more. He did so a bit in that cross-country chase earlier in the campaign, but he definitely did in the cross-country chase when I was down at Cheltenham the other week. It was much better from him, and it came at just the perfect time. You guessed straight away that the Welsh National would be the main port of call for the campaign, and he goes into it on the back of easily his best run of the season when he went down fighting against Diesel Dallier, a real cross-country specialist. I just thought that teed him up nicely. We haven't got decks yet, so there's no confirmation at this point, is there, Matt? But if his name appears and he sneaks in towards the bottom, he'd be top of my list.
Yeah, then Potter's Corner for the Welsh National. Fingers crossed he gets in. Right, what is Barber's best Boxing Day bet this year? What do we fancy?
Well, there'll be people up and down the land, me included, who'll be punting football teams at around the even money mark and 11 to 10. And I'm going to say that's the way to play this Boxing Day as well in the racing game. And I'm with Ahoy Senor to prove himself the best staying chaser around and run the finish and the speed out of his old rival Brave Man's Game. I'm hoping it's a reproduction of the Aintree Sefton Novices hurdle of last season where he proved too strong for the Nichols horse.
Oh yeah, Ahoy Senor then at 2-0 against Brave Man's Game in the opinion of Timeform's Dan Barber. Cheers for watching. Thanks for watching all year as well. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all our viewers, and fingers crossed for a belting Boxing Day. Enjoy.